Hey, Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified YouTube channel. On this channel, we talk about crowdfunding, specifically how you can get more funding for your campaign, whether you're running a Kickstarter campaign, Indiegogo campaign, you're doing other type of crowdfunding campaign. We talk about how you can get more funding. And today we're actually going through how you can get media and press coverage for your campaign and some things you should be aware of when it comes to this, why this is actually important, why you should be on your radar. We're getting into that today. Okay, so let's get into this right now, right? So my name is Salvador Briggman. If you haven't come to this channel before, obviously we talk a lot about crowdfunding. I've written a bunch of different books on crowdfunding. Kickstarter Launch Formula is one of the most popular nonprofit crowdfunding explained, real estate crowdfunding explained, equity crowdfunding explained, all these different resources to help you guys when it comes to your raise. Of course, we also put out videos on this YouTube channel on a regular basis in order to help you with your projects and with your campaigns. It's honestly something I'm so passionate about doing, is just helping you see success. Whenever we have a student or an example, someone comes on the podcast and they've been like listening, they're a diehard listener, and they see results, right? It is incredible. Or to see the results and testimonials of my students and my clients and all that kind of stuff. I really enjoy that so much. So one of the things that just isn't really discussed too much in this industry, and one of the things I think that you should be aware of when it comes to doing a launch, is press and media attention, right? And what the heck does it even mean? How do you get press and media attention? What you should know about that? And also, why is this even important? So let's go through a couple of things right now, and we're getting into it here. So why the heck is press and media attention important? It's always nice. It's one of those like things if you get mentioned in the press. One of the first time I was ever mentioned by CNN, Wall Street Journal, right? Forbes, these biggies. It was so cool. It was like one of the funnest things I've ever had in my life happen, right? One time I was randomly cited by Playboy for an article on crowdfunding. I don't know why they were doing an article in Playboy on that, but one of the coolest things is that when you are cited in the press, this could be you as an individual, it could be your campaign, it could be your brand, it could be your product that you're coming out with. When it is cited in the press or your Kickstarter, your Indiegogo, etc., what it does is it generates a tremendous amount of credibility. And it's not just about credibility, it's really about doing something in the mind of a backer. So first thing we're gonna talk about here is credibility, okay? Credibility and how that leads to a phenomenon that we call social proof, which leads to a phenomenon known as curiosity and also trust, okay? So my job is basically to show you how to understand how to get someone to take action, okay? And when you get into the media, when you have someone who's writing about you, when you have a story that's done about you, you have media logos on your campaign, you may have seen that browsing through particular Kickstarter and Indiegogo campaigns that are out there, you will start to notice that this campaign, this product, this founder has a heck of a lot of credibility. And also this extends as well to like equity crowdfunding and all that kind of stuff, and as well GoFundMe and these other types of websites. So it's gonna give you credibility. That's referred to as a marketing term, which is known as social proof. Social proof is just the indication that other people are viewing you as credible. Other people are buying your stuff. Other people are reviewing your things. If you have a bestseller, that is like instant social proof, right? And what that does, I mean, just aside from being a random word, right? It really gives you this kind of curiosity element and a trust element when it comes to your backers. So for those people that are checking out your campaign, they're gonna be curious, like why is this guy or why is this product or why is this thing being cited by all these different outlets? It must be freaking cool, right? Particularly as well when you include that in the marketing that you are doing. In addition, it builds massive and massive amounts of trust. And that trust, it almost kind of is almost like a diploma, right? Where you think if you go to external school, I only went as far as college, right? But if you go externally, you get like an MBA, you're going to a doctor, you get a PhD or something like that, you get an MD. It's like this diploma that you hang on your wall, right? My work and my learning is kind of done honestly grassroots style and like in the trenches, learning things as I go. So if you go the more traditional route though, that's like your trust. That's like your credibility. When it comes to your crowdfunding campaign, think of this as like your certification. This is showing that you're legit. This is creating a tremendous amount of trust in your backers. And this is why this is so freaking important. The other quick thing I want to mention before I kind of get into actually how to generate this, number 2 is traffic/referrals are another incredible byproduct of getting media attention, right? So when you get media attention, not only are you getting cited on someone else's publication, but that publication usually has an audience. If it's a blog, if it's a website, if you're even talked about by an Instagrammer or a YouTuber, whoever it is, there is traffic and referrals that are coming your way, which is really cool, right? So it becomes like another revenue stream, if you want to think of it that way, when it comes to your crowdfunding campaign. So every crowdfunding campaign has multiple revenue streams. And so like funding streams, if you will. So some maybe are coming from Facebook, some people are discovering you organically on the actual platform, whether that's Kickstarter, Indiegogo, WeFunder, GoFundMe, etc. Some people also are discovering you via word of mouth. Some people are also checking you out via referrals. They see an article that's been published and they go and they click that link and they go and check you out. So it's another source of backers and traffic as well, which is one of the other big reasons why it is important. So what is the secret here? What's the big question mark? Like, how do we actually get the press and media to cover us, to cover a product, to cover something that's new, a new brand that's growing, yourself? How do you do this? Well, I have a couple of things that I want to share. So the first thing is that the PR agencies of the world, they understand this behind closed doors. There are lots of people who already understand what I'm about to share with you right now. This is extremely valuable information, and that's why they're charging you thousands and thousands of dollars, right, to be able to do the PR for you. So the first thing you should understand is that media is a business, okay? Media is a business. What do I mean by that? I mean that when you have a media company, a publication, when you have a YouTube channel, when you have a network of channels, when you have any kind of media channel that's putting out content regularly, that is a business, my friends. What are they in the business of? Hey, we're taking a second to think about that. So if we come from the first idea, the first concept, right, which is that media is in the business, what are they in the business of? Right, so they're a business. What are they in the business of? They're in the business of attracting attention, right? They're in the business of attracting attention so they can get money from their advertisers. Or if they have their content behind a paywall of some kind, they need to attract traffic. They need to attract curiosity. They need to attract people who want in on the news, or want in on the latest story, or want in on a new insight which they have, right? They are in the business of attracting attention. Now, sometimes they're able to generate attention out of thin air just because they say this thing is cool and this thing is happening. But more often than not, they do not get to actually choose the stories which they write about. Now, what does that mean? So like, think about it this way. You have an organization, a media organization. You have someone who's writing, a physical person at their desk, and they're writing every single day these different articles, and they're sending them off to their boss, etc. What do they have to cover? They have to cover stories that are going to generate demand, right? So there needs to be demand or traffic, which basically means that the story that they're publishing in some way has to be related to a topic that's already trending. So you can go and look on Google News right now. You can look at different sources now, and you can see what's trending. And if you write an article, you do a video, or you do anything related to that, you are more likely to become a trending topic. Your article is more likely to be trending because it is relevant. So one of the things when it comes to this, demanding traffic, right, is relevancy, right? So the best thing that you can do, first of all, is to be aware of the different stories that are happening throughout an entire year. So for example, you can even think of this in your own life, right? So when you are going through it and you're a consumer and you're shopping, what are the kinds of stories that you usually see around Christmas time? What are the kinds of stories you usually see when it's becoming summertime? What are the kinds of stories that you usually see at different points in the year? And you can do this exercise yourself. And it's really very formulaic. There are also obviously huge news events, things that are happening in certain technology industries, really keywords and terms, whether that's crypto and Bitcoin, right? There's so many different like micro trends and subjects that are trending all the time. And when you can tie what you're doing to one of these, it's a surefire way to get traffic and to have a story which has legs, a story which has relevance, a story which is going to get traffic because that subject is already in demand. So first thing I want you to think about is to understand media is a business. They don't necessarily always choose what they want to write about. They got to write about certain topics. So you can actually do this in a very savvy way by being very strategic about the types of publications you target, about the bloggers that you're going after, about the influencers that you're going after, and seeing what are the types of things that they have to cover and how can you fit your story within that. The second thing I want to cover when it comes to this is really thinking about the angles that you're going through when it comes to a story. So media is a business, right? Here's the other thing. Every publication has an angle. So there are different angles to every single story. So for example, let's just say that I invented a new product. What are some of the different angles that I could put out there? Well, number one, I could obviously just talk directly about the new invention, the new technology, the new product, if it is novel in some way. What if there's some kind of a struggle to that success? What if there's some kind of an interesting entrepreneurial story behind that success that highlights certain values or certain things that publications care about, right? So there's a lot of things. Maybe that product as well is environmentally sustainable, and it also, helps these other kinds of demographics. It's made out of really sustainable materials, or there's some way in which the manufacturing was done, which ties into a major trend that way. So what you can do is you can take your overall media story and you kind of want to chop it up. Okay, so this is kind of very similar to, like, if you ever gone to a job interview. I actually have never personally had a job myself, but if you ever gone to a job interview, and I'm crossing my fingers, maybe I will someday, who knows, right? I love my work, but who knows? So you go to a job interview and you don't necessarily have the same resume or the same cover letter or the same pitch that you do for every single employer, right? Depending on the employer, you're gonna kind of tailor that a little bit based on who they are, what they care about, the industry, who you're talking to as well. You want to think of it as tailoring your story with many different angles to the different publications that you are going after. So in some cases, you will have one blanket blast that you're doing, and that's great, and that's awesome. You might have really great breadth, right, when it comes to that. In a lot of other cases, if you're really trying to get a high quality publication, you more often than not are going after a few different angles and emphasizing different elements of that story. So think about these. What is the number one angle, we'll just say, related to the product? What's the angle related to the person? What's the angle related to the conversation? Just start to generate and start to think about some of these different angles that you can use in order to attack different publications that are out there.
Want to take all the stress out of fulfilling your Kickstarter rewards? Fulfillrite is the turnkey solution that puts product delivery on autopilot. The Top Campaigns uses trusted high-tech provider to store, package, and ship their products. Focus on growing your business. Leave shipping to the experts. Don't wait. Get a custom quote from Fulfillrite today. Link in the description.
Number 3, and this kind of goes back to the fact that media is a business. I guess these are sub points. We can say A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3, whatever we want to say, right? Obviously, organization when it comes to this is not my strong suit, right? But number 3, when it comes to this, aside from angles, are to realize that people are human beings. I know it's like such a profound subject. Look, Salvador Briggman, he says people are human beings, right? People are human beings, and human beings are lazy. They are so lazy, right? So make it easy. Make it easy to write about you. Now, I can't tell you just the number of times I've seen students either pitch myself or pitch other people, and it's like the hardest subject for the person to actually write about because they have to go through massive email chains, and they have to get all the content and all the information, they have to get background on the story, and in some cases, a reporter will call you. I've had many reporters that will call me and be like, dude, I'm doing a story tomorrow. I need this content. Can you help out with this? Can you provide an expert opinion? Can you share a little bit of advice on this topic and I can quote you, right? I've had that happen multiple times. However, you might be really on your toes, right? But the more easy you can make it for someone to write about you, the more likely they are to write about you. So one of the ways we do that is obviously by fitting in the story into an existing trend or into an existing kind of format that people are already writing about, doing some research on that writer specifically at the publication, right? But the other thing that we do is we gather assets. So this could be, for example, a media kit. This could also be known as a press kit, right? And those could just be really simple things. It could be, for example, it could be actually the press release, but it could also be things like high resolution photos and videos that you already have ready to go, right? Some of the backstory, there may be some quick slides, things that people can go through. Make it super easy for someone to write a story. Even you can even suggest, hey, here are just a couple of bullet points if you want to grab this, want to snag this. This would be a completely original piece for you as well. People don't want to regurgitate if they're in the news, just opinion. They really want something that's original as well. So if you can give them a scoop, if you can share a little bit of tidbits when it comes to this, if you can provide some of those collateral, some of those assets which they can easily implement into that media story, or even a quote, right? Very easy for them to just grab and put that in the story. They can bang this out very quickly before lunch. They're far more likely to write about you than if you make it like it's like pulling teeth and they have to call you up, they have to get a quote, they have to get the images, they have to get some video, they have to get the backstory, they have to get the whole thing. That might be a multi-day story that they're working on, they're having to go back and forth with you, and it's much more friction, and it might be less likely for that person to write about you. The next thing I want to talk about is kind of one of the things I think is a little bit more controversial, right, when it comes to media and press attention. But to me, this is actually one of the hallmark ways to get media coverage, to get people to believe in what it is that you're saying, and to actually show them that what you're doing is legit. And the reason why this is controversial or difficult is because of how crowdfunding works. And specifically, I'm referring to Kickstarter, Indiegogo campaigns, if you're coming out with a new product of some kind. So stuff I'm talking about here with angles, when it comes to understanding the business, when it comes to making this easy with a press kit, this applies obviously to GoFundMe, GoFundMe. This applies to Kickstarter, Indiegogo, WeFunder, etc., right? What I'm about to mention really more so applies to if you have a physical product of some kind. And I am going to share a couple of more tips as well after that. So what I want to really quickly mention is the fact that if you have a physical product, the best thing that you can do, and what most journalists are wanting to see nowadays, if they're really going to do an in-depth killer review, is your product. If you can send them a prototype and you maybe have a couple of these golden samples which you can kind of distribute out to them, they can see what it's like, the materials, they can actually sample it, they can give you feedback, they can also write a whole breadth of a story on that and give you a really good review. If you have some of these golden samples that you can send out, so we'll say proto or very close to finished products, this is going to really make it much more likely for some of those bigger publications to want to write about you. And the reason why, honestly, is that because of how Kickstarter Indiegogo kind of evolved over time, and again, I was in the industry since 2012, so it's been a long time that it's been evolving. A lot of these campaigns haven't necessarily delivered, and that has led to some, readers kind of having a little bit of backlash when it comes to certain stories that have been written. So journalists are a little bit more skeptical sometimes when it comes to a new product that is coming out, particularly if it sounds too good to be true, right? So when it comes to this, if you can send them a golden sample, if you can send some prototypes, if you can send them something to demonstrate that what you're doing works, that there is credibility there, and it's going to de-risk the fact that they decide to take a little bit of that emphasis, or take a little bit of that risk rather, on actually writing about you. It's going to de-risk that for them, and they're not going to have a lot of blowback from their fan base or their readers if they end up doing that. So make sure if you can to have some kind of a prototype that you can send them. And again, it's going to really increase your chances that you get a story done, particularly with a major media publication. So I want to share with you another thing when it comes to this, and again, this applies across the board when it comes to crowdfunding, and then we'll share with you a killer resource that I think really could just blow up your entire media strategy out there and really just get a firestorm going, a media firestorm. What I want to share with you is the fact that you don't necessarily always have to start with the biggest publication. So one of the easiest things that you can actually do is just to show that this story has relevance. And again, I talked about this last point in de-risking the fact that someone actually decides to write about you. Another way in which you can de-risk that someone is willing to write about you is what I call trading up the value chain, okay? So this is basically just saying, start small, man. Start small. Get some of those smaller publications, smaller blogs, smaller influencers to share a news announcement about your product, or to share a little bit of information about it. And where you can get those smaller guys to actually do a write-up, or to do a blog, or to have that go out there on Google, and because people can start to Google your name and see that other people are writing about you, it really begins to de-risk the fact that, okay, I guess I'll take a shot on this, or this seems like this story has legs, this seems like there's demand for this, right? Going back to the fact that media is a business. So if you can begin to create a little bit of the percolation that the public consciousness is talking about it. People are talking about it, that there are, Twitter posts, Instagram posts, social media posts. When people search you up, it's not just like nothing comes up on Google, but there are actually resources that show up. It's going to make it way more impressive when that individual, that journalist who actually decides to look you up. Remember, we think about media publications, we think about organizations, we think of lots of people, very big faceless entities or corporations. In reality, it's usually an individual or two or a small team that's deciding to write a story, or bringing that story to their boss and be like, we should really do something on this. This looks like it's blowing up, right? So you need to reach individuals, because individuals are what make up a big organization. So that being said, this is again one of the hardest things to really map your mind around, and there's so many different techniques and tactics that go into getting media attention and creating what I call this media firestorm behind your product launch, behind your crowdfunding campaign, behind even a charity fundraiser, a nonprofit fundraiser, whatever it is. And to me, trying to solve this problem took so much time, and when I started to get media attention myself, it was almost like it's like a one-hit wonder at first, and then you get another one, and I started to notice a pattern behind it. And I've shared a little bit of that pattern obviously today. If you're really looking for the entire full system when it comes to this, I'm talking like templates, things that will hold your hand every step of the way when it comes to getting these media hits for your business, for your new product, for your fundraiser, whatever it is, for your crowdfunding campaign, I have a link that I would love to share with you today. This thing is going to supercharge your media outreach. It's really going to get you tons of media hits. It's like I said, creating a media firestorm behind what it is you're doing. And to be honest, if you're going to be going through all of the work of doing a crowdfunding campaign, of launching a new product, of putting something out there in the world, why not make it big, right? I'm a big proponent of that. Like, I love, if we're going to do something, do it well, make it big. You're already investing a ton of energy and time thinking about this, right? You're already planning this through. Why not make it a big, huge media event It's going to be easier for you to raise money. You're going to get the things we talk about, like credibility, social proof. You're going to create that curiosity and trust. People are more likely to back your campaign. And in addition, after you are done, you are going to benefit from those results of continued traffic to your website, of continued brand equity when people are continuing to discover you through those different stories. And when they Google your name, it actually comes up with a bunch of different cool listings. How fun, how exciting, and how compelling is that? So if you're interested, I'm going to link down below to what I call the crowdfunding PR system. Again, this is a system that I designed, I developed, I put together, as well as all the supporting materials when it comes to templates, etc., to help you through this process to go from A, which is someone who's really never done this before, has no clue what they're doing, to be able to get media hits consistently and reliably using this system. So if that sounds interesting to you, again, it's not for everyone. There is an investment here when it comes to this. You really do have to care about your brand. You have to care about this launch that you're doing. You have to be willing to invest in this. But if you are, go and check out that link down below. You can learn more about the crowdfunding PR system. I think you're gonna like it a lot. I think you're gonna enjoy it, and you can check it out there. But my name is Salvador Briggman. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Come subscribe for more content like this. I would love to demystify more things. And honestly, I'd love to do even longer videos. I feel like a lot of the times we're kind of cutting things short. So maybe at some point in time, I'm gonna extend even the length of these videos. But the only way I know that you enjoy this is if you give me a thumbs up, you come subscribe, you leave a comment, something positive. You can say, share my videos with someone that might benefit from them. Thank you so much. My name is Sal, and I will see you next time.